this presentation, I'll be very honest, is my experience. I have taught two of the levels and actually helped write the one level of P.R.A.Y. So got some experience with that, and actually Jason is the real expert, and I will always say that. But we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off, and I'll start out. So if you'll give me the next slide, and I can get a mask on. And I've got the clicker.
There's a lot of that going on.
I am not the first one to do that today. But when we look at P.R.A.Y., many of you remember the old God and Country Award. It has been replaced by grade level appropriate programs, and it's used by virtually all of the Protestant denomination and independent churches. It's really an excellent program. As we kind of go through the levels, I'll make a couple of comments on that so that you can know some of those. But it is also approved by all of the major scouting organizations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Campfire, and I'm missing one. Jason. American Heritage Girls. I'm really Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, so those I know. It is an excellent Bible-based curriculum. And it also gives great opportunity for denominational interaction. So there are specific sections that are taught by the leader who can bring in specific Methodist or another denomination's material. And you can see the grade levels. Jesus and Me is the kindergarten, first grade. And that one's really tried to be very interactive. If you can imagine herding kindergartners and first graders, you got to have stuff that keeps them moving. Things are in short pieces. It's really designed to give them that first introduction. God and Me. Second and third, God and Family is the fourth and fifth. God and Church is my favorite to teach. And for any church pastor out there, this is some of the best confirmation material that I have run across. I am a United Methodist elder and serve as a chaplain and have taught this several times. It is my favorite one to teach because it is really good confirmation material. So I strongly recommend that. That is a place where it's really important to have the leader, the person leading the group, really interject the Methodist material and get a feel for what that looks like, to understand some of the Methodist theology, some of the Methodist structure. So that's a great opportunity to do that with that group at that time. And then God in Life, that is the older scouts, generally high school age. It can be fairly intense. They really send them through a lot of thinking about life, about what their ministry might be. Ministry not necessarily meaning ordained ministry, but what that as reviews the term, what their calling might be. So it's an excellent material. That's actually a lot of fun to teach as well, because you get these high school kids who are really thinking about who they are and what's important to them. And we get an opportunity in the church to shape that. I'll put a personal plug in here at this point. I would love to have every Methodist church, whether you charter or unit or not, offer this. There are lots of units that are sponsored by secular organizations. One of the towns I served in, the PTA sponsored all of the Boy Scout units. It was a small town. But we were the church that offered the religious awards, and that was their church home for those units. So it's a great opportunity to do ministry. I'm also going to say and you're going, oh, this is really hard to teach. The great thing with P.R.A.Y. is Jason's and his team's done a great job getting material. So it's there and you've got it. And you don't have to put a lot of things together. It's really there and a lot of plug and play. So it is easy to do. And I will be very honest, when I get questions, I have called the office and said, what do I do for this? And they will answer the question. They've got a great website. So great, you can see those are intentional. Why we've got it broken down from the old God and Country, which was one award, to the different levels. So you can look, I'm going to let you kind of read through that slide, more so than me saying a lot about it. Key thing, it's a lot of fun for the kids to do. They enjoy it. They enjoy that recognition. And it comes from the church. It's not a unit award, it is a church award or emblem, depending on whether it's Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, how you phrase that. And best done, presented at a church service. That's one of the cool things. Doesn't have to be Scout Sunday. A lot of them do them on Scout Sunday, but it's a great opportunity to come in and bring folks from those units, even if it's a unit that's not associated with your particular church. It's a great one to get those folks in. Parents are involved. They actually act as mentors. The final sign out, and I may be getting a little ahead of myself, but the pastor's going to be involved, whether the pastor actually teaches it or someone else teaches it. It also involves the entire community. And key things, when we look at scouting, we're getting good education. We're teaching servant leadership and servanthood and discipleship. And it's a great tool for churches, and it's a great tool for scouts. All right, now, very quickly, to earn that award. So you can go numerous places. For Boy Scouts, you can look up that duty to God. You can go to the P.R.A.Y. website. That'll be later on. You can get the links. And you can get all of the books. There's actually a whole series. There's a participant, a leader, and a mentor guide for each level. So the leader is the adult leading it. Mentor, done well, that's often a parent or someone who's going to mentor that young person, and then the participant guide. And many of the council shops, BSA council shops, do carry that. I'm going to look at my Girl Scout leaders and say, did the Girl Scout shops carry those? No. Okay. They are available. Each Scout does need their own book. And the other part is you can also check with Methodist. I'm sure Stephen Scheid probably has some additional material if you need it as well. So the booklets, counselor manuals, teacher's guide, it is, again, pretty easy to use. It's got all the material. You can put it together, and pretty easy to set up the program. They'll tell you how to do it, and can be done virtually, but that's a whole nother presentation. So I'm going to let the virtual folks cover that, other than to say in our time of COVID, it can be both. And I really do like the having the mentor. Like I said, it can be a parent, it can be somebody else. That's kind of up to how that group is set up, but it's always helpful to have that person to help coach and build that relationship. Some of those intergenerational relationships really are helpful for the scouts. Again, review. And the church ultimately should be the person finding that counselor or leader. So that really takes a lot to, and one of the churches in our area, they probably do 50% in our district. And Boy Scout district, they provide about 50% of the awards, and another Methodist church provides about 30% of the awards. So people come from far and wide to the two Methodist churches to get those awards. And they're not a lot of them aren't Methodists that are coming there, but that's kind of two centers of excellence in my particular district that offer those awards. And one of the things that I really like about this is the local pastor should be the one signing off on the award. So you'll have the counselor or leader doing his or her thing, doing the class, but that final review, and it's set up differently. For the older scouts, when I taught both God in Life and God in Church, they had to set an appointment with the pastor and meet with the pastor for at least a half an hour for them to sign off. But what was neat, I got feedback. They said, you know, that's really cool. I got to talk about a half an hour with the pastor. They got a lot out of it. It was also a great way to engage the pastor in the program because they're invested. They're signing off. They're doing that. But I've actually I talked to a UCC pastor who had one of the kids in my program, and he came back and he said, that was really good. That child learned a lot in those 6 weeks. Thank you. I really appreciate what you did. So we actually got kind of a disciple out of that one for the P.R.A.Y program. And then finally getting started. When you complete that, you cannot get those from the councils. You actually have to order that from P.R.A.Y. They have an easy website. I have used it numerous times. And very easy to go ahead and get those awards. And again, best thing you can do is present those in a worship service. It is really impressive when you can have 5 or 10 scouts in uniform, their parents are there, and you're giving those awards. And you're making a meaningful difference, both for the church, seeing the work and the ministry of scouting, and with the families, that here is a church that loves and cares for them. Whether or not they're card-carrying members or not, it's a great opportunity to bring that ministry full form. Kind of last one, we do have a variety of formats. We're going to say more about that again, virtual, in person always works. It can be done in a retreat setting. Could be done at a summer camp setting, at a session or 2 a day. And again, pastors sign off on that. Ultimately, I've talked about that a couple of times. And then here's a long list of the denominations. So you can read that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And again, that intergenerational, I talked about it a couple of times, but I wanted you to have that slide to be able to see. It can be intergenerational, and the mentor really is helpful. And the mentors find it enormously helpful. It works both ways. They give a lot of gift of time, but they usually get a lot of gift of ministry and caring back. So it's a two-way street. So the mentors get as much out of it as anybody else. And finally, most of the awards do require some type of service. And that's a great opportunity for them to really engage in ministry of the church. One quick story on that, both of my children, for their God in life, my particular church has a big Easter and Christmas program. Their Easter program, they both went to the tech department and did cameras and lights and sound for part of that. That was their service, and they still do it today. So it was a great opportunity that they still serve in that type of ministry. And finally, this is outreach. This is great ministry for your church. And like I said, if you don't have a scout unit, you can partner with a unit and make a difference. Be that church home for those young people to get those awards. Be that church home, because when those young people start looking for a church home, it's a great opportunity. This is a place that loved and cared for me and my family. And they will remember that. It will make a difference. All right, Jason, you get to talk about the RP3 program, and I surrender the remote.
I have to imagine when Charles Schultz was doing the drawing and the writing for the Peanuts cartoons on television, that he imagined the teacher with a mask over her face. Wah, wah. All right, so Doug talked about the emblems and awards and how they fill reverence and duty to God requirements and adventures in the Boy Scouting and the Girl Scouting programs. But those only cover 1 year, right? Most of the grades, there's a couple of years those awards cover and the emblems cover. And so we introduced some years ago the Bible Basics RP3 program, a simple study of the Bible, learning how to read it, how to interpret it, and how to apply it to real life. So the RP3 stands for read, picture, ponder, and put into action. So the focus is for the Bible stories is on Bible study. Each one of the lessons is about an object or something found in the Bible, and stories that are drawn that will feature that object. So for instance, boulders, tents, birds of the air, the wind, water. Things are certainly scouting and outing relevant. Each Bible story utilizes and follows the outline, and the stories, the program is written and designed for the entire family. There are 3 ways to utilize it: for young people, children, young adults, and for parents and adults. Not only has it served its purpose in filling that void in the scouting emblems and awards, but it also has been used, especially over this past 18 months. We know it's been used for family devotionals and for opportunities to talk around the table. We also know that it's been used for Sunday school programs and for vacation Bible schools. But it is a series available for all ages and available for all Christian youth. Each one of the programs in the curriculum is associated with a patch, and it allows for them to earn and receive something as part of instant recognition for the things they've accomplished. And again, each unit is independent. You don't have to do a certain one after a particular one. We do recommend that you start with the good book, as it is the first lesson in the series, and it is the anchor. So it helps to show how they work, how they're administered, and it takes stories of the Bible to teach about the Bible. There are currently 13 additional lessons, so 14 total with the good book, and there are more coming. The most recent was Sheep that was released in the spring, and there will be one coming this late October, early November, in celebration for Christ the King Sunday, which will be Crowns. Oh, and did I mention that it's free? How about that? It is a free downloadable curriculum that you can get from the P.R.A.Y website or from the P.R.A.Y web store now. All you have to do is go in, utilize your account. If you don't already have one, you can make one. We're happy to collect your data. But from there, you can order the lesson, or if you wish, you can order a fully printed entire set of P.R.A.Y curriculum that will be shipped to your home, and it will come in color. So those pieces are available. And the unique thing about this program is that it is now written entirely by volunteers. Volunteers who have come to us, who have wanted to do something similar. Bread was written by Dustin Petz and his family from Hutchinson, Kansas. They did it last summer while they were on vacation in Colorado and practiced and wrote what they felt was going to be good and created the activities that supported the lesson. Sheep that came out this spring was written by a former P.R.A.Y board member who was inspired because of some of the things that were going on with COVID and how people would follow and how to get people to follow. So he wrote Sheep. I mentioned Crowns earlier, that's coming this fall. It was written by Reverend Paul Tillman and his daughter Sophia, who did it as part of her Bronze Award project for Girl Scout. They did it together. Paul was so inspired that at the same time he said, hey, I've got another idea for one. How about Road? Oh, that's a great idea, Paul. What are you thinking? Like. Here it is. So he'd already written it. So we've got loads of great volunteers like yourself who have contributed to the program and to the ministry of P.R.A.Y and ensuring that there are things to keep duty to God and to serve God in front of our young people in the interim. So these are certainly tools for discipleship, education, and evangelism. But they are a little different. So I want to make sure that we highlight some of the comparisons between it. So first of all, the P.R.A.Y program is about the recognition and the emblems that they earn. It allows them to be worn on their uniform, and they are recognized by the scouting agencies to support one study and connection of Girl Scouting or Boy Scouting to their faith experience. The RP3 program is intended to fill that void, as we talked about earlier, and it is set up to be used for family and for all three levels. While there is an adult mentor component to the P.R.A.Y program materials, where the parent or the adult mentor learns alongside with the same verses and scripture study, in the Bible basics, everybody's working on it together, answering questions, and then everybody earns the same recognition. The workbooks in the P.R.A.Y program, there is a cost associated with them, and there's a counselor or a teacher who should be a part of it. And the Bible Basics program curriculum is free. I'm sorry, the Bible Basics curriculum is free. Oh, I didn't ask you to go Kermit on me. So yes, so it is free. And finally, the biggest difference is that these are ongoing and they're continually being developed, whereas the P.R.A.Y program materials and the awards and emblems fill a certain specific part of the experience. There are obviously lots of ways to deliver different programs. It was mentioned earlier, Duty to God weekends, special events, class sessions, or one-on-one. The Girl Scouts have a program called My Promise, My Faith, which recognizes every year a young girl or young lady's commitment to their faith and continuing to explore it, and related to the Girl Scout experience in identifying women of importance to them or women of importance to the work that they do, as well as connecting their own personal faith experience to Girl Scout. And so we've worked with GSUSA, and you will find this information on the P.R.A.Y website under the Girl Scouts microsite, but it connects lines from the Girl Scouts law to a P.R.A.Y, one of the P.R.A.Y Bible Basics patches. And so this is part of the responsibility. So by doing the work with My Promise, My Faith, they can also work on and earn one of the RP3 patches as part of their program, and also complete their My Promise, My Faith, which they are encouraged to do every year that they are enrolled and registered as a member of Girl Scout. So, any questions about the RP3 program?
We can take either P.R.A.Y or RP3.
P.R.A.Y or RP3? I'm happy to handle these questions. Oh, now we've got questions. Okay, yes, sir.
So if you were doing the P.R.A.Y program with a large group, retreat as a district, whatever, who is that pastor at that time for a larger group, and especially with those that are not in a church, or who is that pastor for a group setting?
So I can actually field that one pretty well. Usually that's going to be done, you're going to have a pastor or two involved in that program, hopefully, and they would be able to sign off on it. So when I did it with some kids who did not have a church affiliation, I am a Methodist pastor. I can sign off on that one if they had done the requirements. So,
And you would still do that 101
yeah,
sign off and, okay.
yeah, well, and I had met with them, so we did that sign off. You know, I notice, I always kind of hate to say one-on-one Boy Scouts.
Right, yeah, I understand.
But, you know, we did it, youth protection, safe, and we did meet with them.
And I think the key is to, anytime you do it in a class situation where you're with a large group who are invariably going to be from different faith traditions, is to make sure that the parents are comfortable with the material and that there is an opportunity, if they so choose, for them to have it reviewed with their own pastor, so that any specific denominational or doctrinal material can be discussed with them as part of the final review.
Yeah, my normal choice, and I did, like I said, done it with UCC, and they had to review it. The UCC pastor reviewed it. I've done it with a couple of independent churches, and we sent them to their independent pastor to review that.
There's another question in the back.
This isn't a question, well, this is a testimonial, honestly.
Okay. Perfect.
But between you and Mark before you, if anybody has not used the P.R.A.Y program, it's the two biggest things to me. It's not just scouts, but you can present it to the youth of your church. I mean, I've done it in summertime sessions with just kids who are not scouts. None of them were scouts. It doesn't have to be a scout that takes it. It's a good place where the bridging of the church and their youth and the scouting youth can be in the same class. Another thing. And another beauty for both of you mentioned, go to PRAYClub.org, and if anybody remembers Johnny Carson, absolutely everything you want to know is on that site. Sample letters, scripts, bookmarks. My gosh, everything you want is in there. It's do it.
So I'm sorry, are there other questions? Yes.
Since I moved to Florida and got with a new church, they have a young Eagle Scout who handled the P.R.A.Y programs for 3 years for them, and he's also studying to be a Methodist minister. And he earned the award too.
That's a good internship.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is it common or uncommon for the advancement chairman of a unit to handle the paperwork involved in the P.R.A.Y program along with advancements, more advancements?
So it is really unit dependent on how that is handled, but I think that's awesome because they're saying through a unit committee structure that this is part of our advancement and it's important. And that I assume that somehow the Packer troop is making an investment in the emblems and awards to recognize the MPs.
Yes.
So I think that's awesome, but it's not necessarily common or a standard practice.
Yeah, I will say, I always ran that through the church. And part of that also was making sure that we had that church presentation, because that's important. And I will also say, which you did remind me of something, we also recognized any youth who got that at their unit court of honor or compact meeting. So we did it, they got it twice, actually.
Any other questions?
Put it on your annual calendar. Even if you only get one
Yep.
kid or 12 kids, put it on your calendar every year
I agree.
and, right.
It's a great ministry.
So two more things then that I just want to add. I did bring along a sample of all 14 lessons. And so this is out there and we'll put it back with the other P.R.A.Y materials. But I fully expect that there's an opportunity for somebody to be recognized with it, to take it home. So if you haven't already received all of your full color copies, this will be made available some way somehow, or you can download them for free. The final thing is I just want to provide you a quick update. 4 years, was it 4 years ago? We did Jesus in Me?
Yeah, it's like probably 3-4 years.
3-4 years ago, we developed Jesus in Me. It was intended to fill a need and to connect.
I second. I second.
Easy program to the faith-based experience. And so it was written for kindergarten and first grade. And at that time, we continued to maintain God and Me for first through third grade because the BSA hadn't really adopted it by putting it in the scout stores and recognizing it. I am pleased to tell you that in the last year, the BSA has agreed to acknowledge Jesus in Me. And so the booklets are available in scout stores and trading posts on scoutstuffs.org, so you can find them there. But that also means that they can be worn, the award and emblem can be recognized as part of the official uniform. So we do now have medals that they can wear. So the medals are similar to the Jesus in Me and God in Me medals. There was a sample of it earlier on there. So those are now available. But out of that process of developing Jesus in Me, the volunteer program and engaging others in our work and in our ministry, we committed ourselves to reviewing and rewriting, if necessary, the other books in the programs because they hadn't been done like that since their inception. So God in Me was the first one to get, we're going to go up through the order. God in Me was the first one to be accomplished, and it was done last year. There were 164 volunteers from across the country who committed their time, their energy, and their insight into making that program work. And so, like the model for Jesus in Me, the student workbook is all encompassing. It is a full workbook. It's got blank pages. It's intended to be torn out and taken apart and put back together and typed in terms of different projects. So would encourage you to use that. Also with Jesus in Me, we learned that in the counselor book that we needed to do a better job of providing the counselor the materials. So the information is on one side, and when you open it up, what is in the student workbook is in a full page on the other side, and it includes an answer key and images and things like that. We are in the process right now of doing the revisions for God and Family. I will tell you that we intended to have that released this fall to come out in the August-September timeframe. We are going to postpone that and move that until 2022. Just the number of books that we have in supply, in all honesty, it doesn't make any sense for us to not continue through that supply. But we will treat it very similar to how we did with God and Me, in that they will still be recognized if they work out of that book, if that's the books that are available and they're purchased, still welcome to work out of it. The pizza is still going to be there. So pizza will still be there. It's just going to be approached a little differently in the new version. And we will also make sure that, just like we did with God and Me, that the new revision or the update has a marker on it that notifies with that. We will begin to embark on the process for God and Church and God and Life in succeeding years as well. So to those of you who have an interest in it, we welcome your feedback and your input. As I mentioned, there were 164 folks that were involved in the revision of God and Me. That includes from the people that we surveyed who provided us feedback on and evaluated the lessons, to the writers and the artists, and then the reviewers that we sent it back out to who provided this feedback and tested the final product. 164 people is an incredible number. And you might say, well, that's got to be like herding cats, but it wasn't. It was an awesome nominations and fellow Protestants that were involved in that process was uplifting and truly rewarding. So if you have an interest in that, or you have an interest in the RP3, shoot us a note or do like Reverend Paul did and just send us the curriculum. So, yes, John.
Just to mention that I have the actual medals for Jesus and me, as well as all the other medals back on my display table if you want to see them. That's all of them, and all of the patches for the scouts, for the mentors, and for the counselors. So if you want to see it in the flesh, it's back there.
All right. Thank you all very much.